Hey everyone, this is Joe from the Joe&ZO pod, and this is Joe&ZO Talk Cards. Today we have a whole bunch of TTM submissions for you, or responses I should say. Hopefully we'll get through all of them in one video for you, but there's some good ones. I had fun with these. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed the last video. Don't forget to email us at joeandzopod@gmail.com. Also hit that subscribe button and the little bell. Please let us know in the email or comments what you think, what you like, what we can change, what we can do better. But anyway, let's get right into the TTMs. The first one is from Champaign, Illinois, and it's Mr. Jermaine Allensworth, rookie card. He signed 1 of 1 in 9 days. He played from 1996 to 1999 with the Pirates, the Royals, and the Mets. I think he's most known for his time, if you know him at all, with the Mets, because that was a pretty good team there. But obviously you see here his rookie card with the Pirates. He was a center fielder. Career number is not great, -.1 WAR, 260 batting average, 15 homers, 114 RBIs, and a 705 OPS. He was originally drafted in 1990 in the 15th round by the California Angels, ended up going to college, and then when he came back to the draft 2 years later in 1992, he actually was drafted 34th overall by the Pirates. So he made the majors in 1996, and eventually after 1999, when he was released by the Mets, he bounced around the minors for a few years trying to get back to the majors. Went to a few different teams until finally in 2002 he was in the Atlanta Braves system. They eventually released him, and he never played for a major league organization again. He played in several independent leagues, was very successful there, but that was his major league career. His best season by far was in 1997 with Pittsburgh, where he played in 133 games, hit .255 with 5 homers and 31 RBIs. But he is a very good signer, and I very much appreciate Mr. Allensworth. The next response is from Minneapolis, Minnesota, and it's Mr. Daryl Thompson. Now this is the card that I sent in, which you can see he signed very nicely, a rookie card, and this is what he sent along with it. This is actually a personalized note detailing his well, not detailing, but talking about his youth advocacy program. I saw on the sites that he sends that to everybody who writes into him, but it's actually pretty cool because now I have a personalized autograph as well as the autograph on the card. So Daryl Thompson, he signed 1 of 1 in 11 days, and again, he signed the card and he sent along the personalized brochure. He was a running back who played from 1990 to 1994, all with the Green Bay Packers. He was a tremendous athlete. In high school, he was a star in 3 sports, basically winning the various national awards for track and field, basketball, and football. Ultimately decided to go into football. Was recruited by pretty much every single major football college out there, but ended up going to Minnesota, where he remains the record holder in pretty much every record that could be held by a running back. You're welcome to check out exactly what it is. Let me just move that over to give you a more centered look at that. Yeah, like he is by far the greatest running back and one of the best players in University of Minnesota history. He was drafted number 19th overall by Green Bay in the first round, and his career totals were 464 carries, 1,641 yards, and 7 touchdowns. I was trying to find out more about him. It seems that from his career was just a bust, which is too bad. Obviously, he is a legend in Minnesota. I think he actually is still the broadcaster for the university games. So it's always, too bad when you see a promising career just, not go the way you hope. But that is Mr. Daryl Thompson. That is our second response for today. Our third response is from Orlando, Florida. And it's Mr. Eddie Taubensee. Let me see if I can get a good view of that. Very nicely signed. He signed 1 of 1 in 11 days. He played from 1991 to 2001 with Cleveland, Houston, Cincinnati, and then ended off with Cleveland again. As you can see from his equipment in the card, he was a catcher. Pretty decent career numbers. Definitely, I think the best that we've done so far on this show. 5.5 WAR, 273 average, 94 homers, 419 RBIs, and a 761 OPS. And obviously, he played 10 years in the major leagues, which is a very big deal. I think I saw a stat that only 10% of people who have ever played in the majors make it 10 years. So Eddie Taubensee is one of those. He was originally drafted. I'm going to go through his transaction record now. He has a pretty crazy transaction record. He was originally drafted in 1986 in the 6th round by the Reds. And as you can see in this picture, he is in a Reds uniform, but that's not how it went. For him, he was a Rule 5 draft pick to Oakland, and was immediately picked up on waivers by the Cleveland Indians, who then traded him to Houston. We'll get back to that later. Who then traded him to the Reds, who then traded him to Cleveland. So it seems like where he ended his career. So it seems like he never actually hit free agency. He was always just being traded from one team to another, and I assume signing extensions once he was there. His best season by far was in 1999, where he played 126 games, which is pretty good for a catcher. Hit .311 with 21 homers and 87 RBIs, and that was a pretty good Reds team that just missed out on the playoffs. I'm not totally sure why he retired. He was in his early 30s. I could not see any injury history, so if anyone is out there as a Reds fan, or any other, or generally an Eddie Taubensee fan and knows what happened with his career, please let me know. 2 bits of trivia with him. The first one is that when he was in the playoffs with the Reds, I believe it was in 1995, he had the last hit in that postseason that the Reds got, and it was a long time till the Reds made the postseason again. So he was answers to a trivia question for many years for that. His other bit of trivia is, like I said earlier, he was traded from the Cleveland Indians to the Houston Astros. And part of that trade was Kenny Lofton going from Houston to Cleveland. And for those baseball fans out there, you know that Kenny Lofton was a huge part of those Cleveland teams that went to the World Series twice in the 90s, and were successful pretty much through. Lofton, throughout his career, was a pretty good player. One of those guys who will not make the Hall of Fame, but definitely made an impact in the major leagues, definitely the Hall of Very Good. And he was traded for Eddie Taubensee. So it's always interesting when you have a trade and one of the players ends up being good and the other one ends up being bad, how they're viewed. That's usually how trades work. Very rarely do you have where both teams are happy at the end of it. But that is Eddie Taubensee, and thank you very much, Mr. Taubensee, for signing that card. All right, our 4th one today, switching gears a little bit to a different sport, is defensive back Mr. Mark Collins. He signed 1 of 1 in 11 days. He played for 13 years, 1986 through 1998, with the Giants, where he won the Super Bowl twice in 1986 and 1990. Then the Chiefs, Green Bay, and finished up with Seattle. His career numbers: he played in 168 games. He had 27 interceptions, 2 of them returned for touchdowns. He was drafted in the second round with the 44th overall pick by the Giants. And his best season has got to be 1989, where he was named first team All-Pro. It's hard to get a good context in terms of what stats are significant for a cornerback. Obviously, the easy ones are interceptions, but there's passes defended, there's tackles, which the exact right number is always hard to tell because of defensive schemes and other players on the field and stuff like that. The numbers are not as individually dependent, on the specific player. So awards are definitely something you can point at. So that's the first team All-Pro, and of course the longevity of his career, which was extensive. So that is Mr. Mark Collins, and thank you very much for signing that card. Okay, last but certainly not least, And growing up an Orioles fan, this is very cool for me to get, was Mr. Dave Johnson, an Orioles legend. He signed 1 of 1 in 6 days, which is insanely fast. He played from 1987 to 1993 with the Pirates, Orioles, and Tigers. He was a pitcher. His career numbers are nothing to write home about, and I'm laughing because I have to tell you the story of why he's an Orioles legend. But his career numbers are -.4 WAR, a 22-25 win-loss record, a 5.11 ERA, and a 1.47 WHIP. His best season was with the Orioles when he went 13-9 with a 4.1 ERA in 1990. And like I said, he is an Orioles legend. And I was trying to find a good way to explain it, and I found an article on MLB.com from a few years ago that actually tells the story of Dave Johnson, and I'm going to link that article in the description of the video down below. But the basic story is that he originally became a truck driver, did not think that he was going to be able to make it in the major leagues. He was pitching in a regular, just, neighborhood baseball league, and a Pirates scout saw him and signed him. So he worked his way up through the Pittsburgh Pirates minor league system, and eventually making the Pirates team at the end of 1987. Then being released by the Pirates, signed by the Astros, and before playing a game for the Astros, he was traded to the Orioles. And once he got to the Orioles, and the reason why he's a legend is because at the end of the 1989 season, it was the last game of the year, and the Orioles were playing the Blue Jays for the AL East title. And again, in those days, it was before the wild card, so if you won the only way to get to the playoffs was by winning your division. So the intended starting pitcher that day was a pitcher named Pete Harnisch, and he ended up stepping on a nail, and he could not pitch. So Dave Johnson had to come in, and he threw 7 innings and gave up I think he gave up 1 run in 7 innings. And the Orioles bullpen ended up blowing their game, and the Orioles lost the game. But the fact that he came in, really being a no-name, and pitched a game that the Orioles should have won, launched him into, just made him a big fan favorite in Baltimore. And he's actually from Baltimore, so he always said it was a thrill for him to be able to play for the Orioles. But as you can see, he did not pitch for too long in the major leagues, eventually moved on to the Tigers, and then retired. He lives in Baltimore, or in the Baltimore area. He actually was a broadcaster for the Orioles TV and radio. And I think he still is. I don't know, I don't live in the Baltimore area anymore, but I think he still is part of that team. Anyway, that's Mr. Dave Johnson, and those are our TTMs today. So I hope you guys enjoyed. Once again, you could reach us at joe&zopod@gmail.com, and please send us any messages. And of course, you can always like, comment here on YouTube. Please also hit that subscribe button, and please let us know what you think. All right, thanks for pulling up a chair with me and sitting through this video. And until next time, this has been Joe&ZO Talking Cards.